All right. So when I reached age 15, a little after that, my mom decided it was time to tell me that I had an older sister that she gave up for adoption. I didn't know what to think of it. I was just like, oh, wow. And she said that she doesn't know where she's this daughter, her first, she doesn't know where her first daughter was, but she's putting a lot of effort in to trying to find her. I believe I believe that she was unable to locate her. But she was putting a lot of effort and thought into this first daughter, and I was like, whatever. It's never a part of my life, so it didn't really matter. I didn't really give it much thoughts until later, years later. Every so often I think about it. It's like, from what I understand, I was born in 1975. I believe my mom was 26, and this older sister was born when my mom was 19, in about 1969. Um, I think this my older sister, and it'd be an older half sister from another man. She probably would have been, 6 years older than me. And she was born in a time when the baby boomers were at their peak of youthful activity in their early 20s. My mom was pretty much a baby boomer, and there were a lot of baby boomers out there. And my mom had a baby in Shell Lake, Wisconsin, a small town. She's still, I think, maybe either living with her parents, or maybe she was going to school in Eau Claire, Wisconsin for secretary, to be a secretary. And she didn't want this child that she was pregnant with to affect her career, which I don't think this older sister would have hurt her career too much, because my mom never really had much of a career. She never really followed through on this secretary work. Uh, just becoming a nurse's aide. But that's what happens a lot. People take one direction in life, spend all this time being a doctor, then they decide they want to be a lawyer instead or something. So this daughter it was decided right away to not have for my mom to not have an abortion, to go through with the pregnancy, and then give the daughter up for adoption. So she was just the baby was taken out of her arms right away, and that was it. My mom lived with that, and it's like, she could have done the same thing to me. All right, why didn't she? It's like, and what happens if she did keep my older sister? Would my dad have shown any interest in my mom? And being in coming from my personality, I'm not. Well, I mean, now that I'm older, I don't care. But uh, uh, thinking in the mindset of my dad at 24, 23, marrying a woman who has a child, a daughter, may not be a very intriguing, intriguing like pursuit. And and like, did my mom hide the fact that she had a previous child from my dad when they were going through their courtship? That's stuff I don't know the answers to. And I'm not really on talking terms with these people. I think my dad's getting Alzheimer's anyway. and I don't know. I really don't care to talk to them. It's stuff I could have asked a long time ago. And it's like so weird. There's questions I want to ask some old people who I've gotten to know, like Bob Simonson. I wanted to ask him about his sex life in his 80s, and it's like, how do you do that? You can't. It's just like you can't really ask that. It's just um. But I'm curious, and I know that like Bob Simonson, he had a lot of problems with his prostate. But I was curious, a little bit to learn a little bit more about that, for myself. It's just like with this sister. It's like, what do you do? How do you ask? Why can't they just write a book about their life? I'll just read that. Post some post some updates on your social media accounts about your personal stuff. I want to learn more about it. Like with this older sister, I question what would life have been like had my mom kept this older sister. Okay, I think it would have been a lot different. All right, I wouldn't have felt like I was the firstborn and the oldest child. I would have been in the middle. Um, or would have my mom have gone through with getting pregnant with my sisters, my younger sisters? I don't know. The dynamics could be tweaked, and you'd find some interesting possibilities, but you don't really know. Just things played out the way they did, and there's some holes in the information. There's information gaps on the details of how some of this stuff transpired. Yes, my mom and dad have divorced when I was 6 years old. So um, my mom was just obese. I could understand him doing that, and she was just getting fatter and fatter too. That's just depressing to me. I don't want to share anybody's life, a life with anybody who just gets fatter and fatter. We can get older and older, and you should be getting well, I mean, that's the thing. I was in this last city I was in. We were talking about how the beet sugar company went out of business within 2 years after stiff competition from the corn syrup competition. They went out of business in 1970, early 1970s, late 1970s, 1979, I think. The beet sugar company in Colorado went out of business in the late 70s, and they couldn't compete against the low prices against big corn syrup. And that's what I grew up on, is this terrible diet of corn syrup. And my siblings, and we all struggled, every one of us. Nobody knew better. And it was just that dynamic, really. I mean, you think about what family life had been like if my older sister had been a part of it, been a part of my life. But then, there's that immediate influence, but then there's the outside influence of just these terrible choices that government made to subsidize corn syrup and subsidize corn. All right, the beet sugar company could not compete against a subsidized industry. I don't think they subsidize beet sugar in any way. You can't compete against that. And that was an outside influence that influenced my diet, and my diet affects the way I think, how my health developed. Not great. Um, but I mean, we would have been poor. We were poor living in a trailer court with me as the oldest sibling. And it would have been just as bad, maybe even a little worse financially with an older sister. That's why you got to give them up. you can't pay for them. You gotta give them up. Find somebody who can. An orphanage is a little bit better designed for supporting kids of poor parents. My mom was my mom into drugs? I mean, as far as I know, it was a voluntary surrender. A lot of parents lose their kids because they're addicted to drugs, not just because they're poor. And what's interesting too is my great grandpa influenced my grandma to not have any more children. Yet she still had one anyway. She had a total of 3. But my great grandpa and great grandma only had one child, and strongly um, like lobbied my grandma and grandpa to like I think only have one child themselves. They were so adamant about having just one child. They were a barb and beautician, but my grandma had 3 children, and I don't think my great grandpa was too happy about that. And this is on my mom's side. Then my mom goes and has this illegitimate child, and I'm sure my great grandpa had some influence on that. He might have talked to my mom about what to do with this child. At 19, with no like a bastard child with no father, as far as I understand. Not sure who the man was or what relationship they had together, but uh, I'm sure my great grandpa stepped in and made and gave my mom some stern words about how to maybe pursue her career over a child or something. What kind of influence did he have over her? I just, the dynamics. I mean, all I know, I don't know, like, you never know how a law is made. It's just kind of, you don't know what the arguments for and against a law were made. It's just, you're living with the law now. Curfews at a park between 10 and 6 or something. It's like, what were the problems that happened before that? It's just like suddenly this decision just becomes God's will. You never know what exactly happened. But my mom eventually found this older sister, and I saw a picture of her about 10 years ago. My mom was all happy she met her and stuff, and apparently she's in the middle part of Wisconsin and lives on a ranch or something. And my older sister looked obese 10 years ago. And the way people are living or eating these days, I'm sure she's not really helping herself much. It's kind of sad to watch. It really angers me how the subsidized corn industry has just destroyed so many lives. You don't just destroy individual lives, you destroy the relationships too, by people having to deal with these congested livers and all this addiction, so near alcohol addiction, practically an alcohol addiction. But there's one time, maybe 10 years ago, I had a chance to meet my older sister, and I said, no, don't want to see her. I don't want anything to do with her. A lot of it had to do with I just hated my job too, and I was depressed. You catch me at the right moment, and I would have been happy to meet my older sister. But I was asked by my younger sister, and I was at working at Menards selling lumber, and I was like, nope, don't want to meet her. And I mean, they could have walked in anyway and not listened to me, but never met her, and it's not a big deal. But I wonder what what happened, why some decisions were made, and what happened if things would have been different.